Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And time to start off the showcases. This time we're going to start off with the Protector Albis, who I think is a bit more interesting character because of her kit. One being the Protector, and two doing something new that we as players have not been able to access as of yet. And she's hot. And I like Albis, so we're going to put her first. So she increases the damage done to Earth characters by Festive Memories units by 100%. This is at base level with no investment in the extra ability boards and no dupes. Physical allies get 25% attack and defense. And then at the beginning of each turn, from turn 2 onward, decreases the skill cost by 10 for all allies, including the rear guard. So this is a passive skill reset every single turn. It's not a full, like, you use a skill and then the turn ends and then the next turn it's back down to its base cost. No, it's by 10, and every time you use a skill, it goes up by 20. So it's going to take 2 turns for a skill to be reset back down to its base value without ever using it again. It's the same thing that Protector Maribel has, and they have very similar kits. It's also what the Idolmaster Rimuru does, but only for the front line. So it's not new. But it is something to work around, and it does help keep things at least lower cost than what it could be. And then her actual skill applies a barrier stack to all allies. And so if you use Albis twice in a turn, that means you get 2 barrier stacks, which means you get a shield for 2 direct hits, whether it be counterattacks, or alts, or instant damage, or normal attacks. Your barrier will absorb those hits. But once the barrier runs out, you're going to take normal damage, and I'll show that during the actual showcase of her. She also permanently stacks alt damage, 30%. This can get pretty high if you're building a team that's like an 8-turn stacking team, which this Albis' team is. And then the blue orbs get a 300% skill point increase, so you can pretty easily get up to the 150 cap every turn if you're sending 6 blues. The charm we're going to run on her most of the time is going to be the blue gauge protection charm. So it's the 2-star that I've evolved to a 3-star. Soul Divine Protection get increased by 20% because I want more stacks, because I want more barriers, and I want more alt damage. And then her actual trait, if you have dupes of her, is a physical attack buff when everyone has 75% or more HP. So not super big, but hey, it's something. But let's go ahead and jump into running her team, or a version of her team. Alright, we're going to start with this team. We've got Albis, we've got the free-to-play Water Rimuru, because we need blue orbs on this team. Ritas is here, the new Momiji. The new Divine General Hero is going to be in the back for Pierce. And then we've got the Idol Shuna, who is on the Festive Memories team. Not getting the attack and defense buff because she's magic, but it is what it is. And we'll see what Albis can do as far as the barrier is concerned. Alright, so we're in the fight, we're on turn 2, and we have 2 stacks of Albis. So first off, let's orb change. Get the Rita's stack. So this is stacking Pierce power on Festive Memories allies. Then Momiji's changing what could be a whole hand of oranges. So now, blue orbs normally give us 53 skill points. Alright, yeah, that's not great. However, once we use Albis, and let's actually turn her animation on so we can watch it, because it's beautiful. Here we go. And we'll just watch her lean over. Respectfully looking, though, of course. Always respectfully. It's a fun animation. It doesn't have a lot going on, but she's a protector. They're not as, I think, animation intensive as battle units. But now you can see that we have a barrier on our characters, our entire front line, not our back line. So that's fine. But it's a 1-stack barrier, which means that if Trainee decides to hit us one time, then we will absorb that and take 0 damage. On top of that, you can see that the orb change from Rimuru costs 35 points. Normally, it costs 25 points, and when you use it once, which I used it on turn 1, it was 45. But because it's been 1 turn, it's been reset by 10 points, and this is from the Albis passive ability. Beginning of each turn, decreases the skill cost by 10. So because we have not used Rimuru's skill this turn, when turn 3 hits, it's going to go back down to 25 cost, and it's going to stay there. So this is how we circumvent the cost of skills getting too high on this team, is by slowly but surely resetting them. And it affects every character on the front line and back line, so that is quite helpful. But remember that we got 53 points last time before using her, and now we're capping out. So that is a lot of extra skill points we get. We don't raise our skill cap above 150, but we can always pretty much ensure that we're going to get back to 150. And we have another Albis, so you know what? Let's use her again. And now we can skip this because we already watched it. And now we have a 2-stack barrier, which means that we can take, on any of these characters, we can take 2 hits and not receive any damage. So let's go ahead and send that. Max points, another Albis for next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go, 6, cool. And now Trainee, 1, 2. So that breaks the barrier from Momiji, but she didn't take any damage. And we took 1 hit on Ritas, so we subtracted 1 barrier stack, but she still has it up, which means that last turn, nobody took damage, which is good. But as soon as you break that barrier, like if she had decided to hit Momiji a 3rd time, she would have taken damage because there's no longer the barrier protecting her. But, I mean, if you do this over and over and over and over again, I mean, it's going to work out. So, look at Rimuru. He's back down to 25 points. So, you know what? Let's use the Ritas barrier effect, and we'll put it on, I think, Shuna. Sure. And then we'll swap her out for Rimuru. We'll do his self-convert. Boom. So now that skill is 45 points. So we'll check that next turn. And we'll send him away and we'll bring the hero in for funsy onesies. And we still have 110 points, but I don't really need to use anything right now. So I think that's like where my confusion with this team is that there's very little to do. Things cannot cost a lot. It's just that I'm capped out on points, and it's like there's nothing else that I can do here. It's not like a multi-use skill team like Divine General. As soon as you're converting, as soon as you got the shield up, there's nothing for you to do, which you might have just a whole bunch of excess points. But now, Trainee is going to hit us. And 1, 2. So that broke the barrier. Now we've been hit 3 more times. But we negated that first hit with the barrier. But then after that, we took full damage. So the barrier is a bit of RNG, because unless you have a taunt unit, you can't really control who is getting hit. Trainee could decide to target everybody and spread the damage out, or she could only target one character like she just did and decide that she really hates them that turn. So interesting things can happen. But if we look at Rimuru again, 35 points. It was 45. And if we go another turn, it's going to be back down to 25. But I kind of want to use his other skill right now. So let's take the hero out. And then we'll use his green orb change. Boom. And this is how we keep things cheap. By not having to use every single skill every turn, and maybe going a couple turns without using them, they can be reset back down. And I think that's good. But like this shield, I kind of have to use that for Momiji, because she kind of took a few hits there. So I want to give her that extra barrier stack on top of the 2 more stacks that we're going to give everybody with Albis, that we can now turn this animation off. There we go. Alright. So now we have 75 points, but I don't really have anything else to do with all these points. So I think that when the other 2 units decide to come in, we're going to have a few more skills to use, but right now, like, we're good. We're always going to be at 150 if we send all these orbs. We don't have an alt swapper to blues on this team yet. I don't know if we will get one, but here, alright, instant damage right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that broke the barrier, and technically nobody took damage there. That worked out pretty well. Okay. So this hand is kind of awkward. We can do an orb change here. We can do an alt swap? Yeah, orb change. No, I think we just do this. And then we bring Rimuru in for Momiji. And then use that orb change, boom, boom. Yeah. And then we'll bring the hero in for Rimuru, keeping him in the back so we can use him for his converts if someone has like a lot of orbs or something. So Albis is continually protecting us, and you can see that this Shuna has not really been hit. So we've stacked up 7 barriers right here. So she can get hit 7 times and still never feel a thing, which is good. But again, it's total RNG, because I don't know if she's going to get hit. We can have the hero get hit 6 times in this turn, or Ritas can take 6 hits. Let's find out what happens. Counterattacks will also remove barrier stacks. Just keep that in mind, so you don't have to be hit during her actual turn. So this ult doesn't do anything to Shuna. The instant damage does, and then she's going to hit Ritas 5 times. Thankfully, we guarded 1. So the ult that Shuna took, 0 damage. Great, protected. Ritas was protected for 2 of those hits, so if she hadn't have had that barrier, she would be much lower on HP. So it is RNG dependent. But if we look at Shuna, we're up to 180% ult damage, and that's from using Albis. 30 plus 30 plus 30 over and over and over and over again means that we can get to some pretty high levels of ult damage with this team, so you don't need to bring an ult buffer with the Albis team. Alright, so we cut ahead, and now we're on turn 8. We have, this is a different run entirely, because I actually ended up accidentally killing the last one. But turn 8, we don't have any of the buffs active. We don't have enough points for anything, because things got a little bit too expensive towards the end. But what we do have is 270% ult damage. So that's the only buff we're going to use. Idle Shuna is single target fire and on Festive Memories, so she gets the extra damage buff. So we'll very obviously be able to kill right here, because this is only EX2 and we do 368k. And I think EX2 only has like 650,000 HP. So we didn't have Synergy, we didn't have Pierce, we didn't have the ult resistance down or from Momiji or anything. So that's just raw stacks of Albis with our single target Festive Memories character. So Albis has the potential to do a lot for you. It's just that the shield is very RNG dependent, based on who the enemy decides to hit at whatever moment in time. But she does give you a lot of skill points, she does give you a way to negate damage, and she does give you some kind of stacking damage ability, which on paper is pretty good. Alright, so let's have her lead a different team. We're going to take this team into the Tempered Edge versus Clayman stage. So we're not a Festive Memories team anymore. We're not going to get that extra damage buff, but we are still a fire team with a lot of blue orb changers and a fire nuking character. So Albis will be able to protect us from Clayman and give us stacking ult damage, which will work alongside Guy. We'll show that. And then we have some burn, which will help, and we can get a lot of skill points back. So, I mean, in theory, this should work fairly well. Alright, so we have to burn him turn 1, so we're going to have to bring in Benimaru. Otherwise, we're going to get binded and poisoned, and the barrier is not going to save us from that passive damage and ability to not be swapped out. We do have to leave Violet in the back, otherwise we get that crit nerf, so that's why we didn't bring her up front. Okay, thank you for that counterattack. Now, the thing about Clayman is he doesn't attack nearly as much as that beatdown battle trainee, which is good, which means that we'll be able to get a lot of use out of our barrier. He does do a few AoE hits, though, so we're probably going to have to deal with that. That's a hand right there. Let's bring in Rimuru for Benimaru. Yeah, Rimuru for Benimaru. We'll do the self-convert with him and then the Guy convert. So boom, boom, and then we can take Rimuru out for Violet. And then we still have enough points to use both of her skills. So boom, boom. Alright, so we've got one use of Albis. So this will protect us for one hit on our front line. It'll give these blues a lot of skill points, and it will give us, passively stacking ult damage, essentially. So by the time we actually get a Violet ult, she's going to have a decent amount of ult ready to go. And there's the burn. That's a lot of Violet orbs. Alright, so we were protected from that AoE hit on everybody because it's just the one single AoE. So we didn't take any damage there, which is always good to see. As for this hand, do we just do this? Wait, yeah, let's just do Albis again. Protect ourselves. And I guess we just get a Violet ult here. There's nothing else we can really do. I mean, we could have orb changed 2 of those oranges to green. Not a super huge deal, though. There's the burn. All right, and another AoE where we take 0 damage. So apart from the initial turn where we didn't have a shield, okay, come on, where we didn't have a shield, we're looking pretty good. So now, all of our skills have been reset, so we could use the burn again, the attack buff again. We could send Violet away, and we could do, ooh, perfect. Reamer's orb changes back down to normal, self-convert, green orb change, boom, and boom, and then we can bring Benimaru in. So now we have 2 Benimarus. Let's do another shield. And I think it's only a couple hits on this turn, but they're single targets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's max points. That's almost another stack, another double stack of Albis. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is working pretty well. I mean, we're staying protected. We're taking down his HP quickly. And what does this hit? And it's another AoE. So again, 0 damage taken. Working out fairly well. Let's do orb change, boom, and boom. The blues are now a bit nerfed, so they're not going to give us nearly the same income, but we only need to go like 1 more hit. And this is where we're going to get ulted from Clayman, which normally Clayman does quite a bit of damage. Not really going to be the case here. So Benimaru, 78k. All right, sure, fine. We could have easily killed him at any point, like leading up to this with Violet. I'm just trying to drag it out to show you the effectiveness of the barrier skill. And this ult, 0 damage. Broke the barrier, but then the follow-up, 3,300 damage to this Benimaru, but the other 2 were protected. So it works out. Let's bring Violet back up front for, well, let's use the Guy buff, because we don't need guaranteed crits, because Violet already gives herself guaranteed crits, so that's fine. We get the alt buff, and then we can swap him out. We could use the Tempest Elite Benimaru buff. We could do another burn stack right here, reapply the crit and synergy if we really felt like it. Or not synergy, crit and pierce. And so we'll do 1 final stack of Albis, and then we'll take a look at our stats. So now we're protected for another hit, and Violet has 150% ult damage from using Albis, plus the 80 from Guy, because one of them is permanent forever, and one of them is a temporary buff. So you can combine the Albis stacks with another ult buffing character who is either doing another forever buff like the Divine General Raphael, or a temporary ult buff like this guy. And now we're up to, what, 230% ult damage with 40%, or 40, 50? 50% physical attack, 25% ult resistance down, 20% attack, guaranteed crit, guaranteed synergy, and this, he's going to go bye-bye. And we've not really taken that much damage, realistically, because we've been protected for most of the turns. So that is the value of Albis. It does run out, and you can face some scenarios where you don't have the barrier up and your protection is gone. But for most things, it's gonna work fine. I think I still like Maribel's Super Guard more, because that's constant and you don't run out of it during a turn. Like, they can hit you as much as you want and you're still gonna Super Guard, but it doesn't protect against ults, which Albis's barrier does. So there are trade-offs to using Albis for protection versus Maribel for protection. So while the barrier is cool, I don't think she's doing so much that she's necessary for everyone to have. Like, if you have defense skills, you can tank some damage. The skill point increase is cool. Just use a stacking team or something. Alt damage, we have ways to get alt damage now at this point. So everything she does apart from the barrier is, I wouldn't say old news, but replaceable. You can replicate it in some way, shape, or form. So really what she's doing is she's giving you a temporary shield, passively resetting, which can be useful in some scenarios, and then the extra attack boost for Festive Memories, which only gets buffed once a year. So, once this meta is over, like, we're not ever going to get another Festive Memories unit until December of next year. So it's not a team that is constantly added to, which I think is a big detriment to the team. But Albis, for what she's worth right now, I mean, looks interesting. She's hot, but definitely not a necessary character. So let me know what you guys think about this Albis down in the comments below. Do you think I'm underselling her, or do you think that she is like she's gonna be really good for future content? Let me know. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.